Good afternoon and welcome to session 8 of our virtual second PANACEA End User Workshop series. This afternoon we are going to discuss cybersecurity education and training in healthcare. We have with us this afternoon Anthony Rabbit from RENA, who will talk us through the solution that we've developed so far in the story. But first of all, I will just pass the floor to Dr. Sabina Magalini, Senior Surgeon of the Emergency and Trauma Unit at the Gemelli University Hospital in Italy. She will say a few words. I'll stop sharing so you can do a video. Welcome, Sabina. Okay, the floor is yours. We do have a few people online, so welcome and thanks a lot for joining.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Sabina Magalini and I'm an emergency surgeon of the Policlinico Gemelli in Rome. Our hospital is coordinating the PANACEA project. This project has the aim of delivering a set of people-centered cybersecurity solutions for healthcare. In my role of project coordinator, I would like to welcome you to this second end user workshop session. Today, we will be speaking about education and training and the learning package thereof. As you know, this workshop is dealing with one of the solutions. Why are we so interested in your feedback? Because one, you are offering us your precious time. Second, you're offering us your extensive experience. And we want to assure you that all the comments you will be making, and we incite you to say most the criticisms you have and all the comments, positive and negative, so that this will help us, that we can put it to good use to fine-tune these tools, which will be helpful for all the hospitals of Europe, I believe, in these difficult times, in normal times, but especially in these COVID times. So I thank you, and I hope you participate with many comments.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sabina. I'm just going to share my screen again so we can just have a quick look at the agenda. So now we'll move on to the first of the live polls, and I'll pass the floor to my colleagues, Rita or Christina, and they can also read out the questions. And then we'll pass the floor to our participants for a quick introduction of who they are, who they work for, and why they're interested in PANACEA. And then we'll go on to Pasquale Mario, also from the Gemelli Hospital, will introduce our presenter this afternoon. And after that, we'll do an interactive session with a Q&A on what's been presented and some more live polls and feedback. So the floor is yours, Christina, or the polls. I think we can trigger the first polls. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we're now launching the first stakeholder profiling poll. The question is, which type of organization are you representing? We will give you around 1 minute to vote, and then we'll share the results with you.
Okay, all the attendees replied, and here actually we have a third of them that is from the research organization, another third that is from cybersecurity and privacy supplier companies, and the other third from hospital clinics and healthcare services. I will show you also all the results so you can have a look at them. Okay, so I will move on and sharing with you the second poll. And here instead, we would like to ask you, what is the role, field of expertise relevant for the workshop? And here we have different replies, let's say, possible replies, that is hospital or other healthcare providers manager, performance manager, training and education manager, information technology manager, information security officer, risk manager, researcher, that could be humanities, psychologists, or let's say organization, cybersecurity and privacy provider or developer, or other. And here again, you will have around a minute to reply. Okay, we got all the replies. So we have actually 67% of all the attendees that is coming from the researcher field, from humanities, so psychology or organization, and the other part that is coming from cybersecurity and privacy provider or developer. So you can also see the results now. And I will stop sharing now.
That's great, thanks a lot. So let's have a quick introduction to our participants. It might be useful also to introduce a few of our panelists on our side as well at the same time. Yeah, but we'll start with our guests, and I'll pass the floor to Wissam for a quick introduction, and we'll give you the right to unmute, and then we'll talk to Juan and Panos. So welcome back to you all, and thank you for joining.
Hello, Stephanie. This is Wissam speaking. First of all, thank you for the invitation to this panel. So I'm following very well the PANACEA project and different tools, and they are really very interesting for us as a small company located in Paris. We are experts in cybersecurity, and we have different tools related to this field, and we give also several professional trainings related to cybersecurity. That's why I'm interested in what you have developed in this project.
That's lovely. Thanks very much. Juan, if you want to say a few words.
Yes, hello everybody.
There.
I think we already know each other.
Yes, but Dan doesn't know you, and there are some people on the PANACEA side as well in this afternoon. Yeah, so yeah.
Well, I think quite a few participants of Curix are probably in this call because we're very interested in this topic, and we have a a task that is very similar, which is cyber hygiene, and of course, I've also been to other workshops or conferences you guys given about your project, and it's really interesting. And I'm looking forward to learning from you guys, and hopefully we can also do the same for you. So that's just about it.
Yeah,
oh yeah, and I didn't say I was from Puerto Hierro Hospital, and I work as a researcher in the Curix project in the hospital.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to continuing to engage with you very much.
Yeah, fine, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I'll pass the floor now then to Panos, who we met this morning.
Yes, hello. Hi, Juan. This is Panos Bachristou from Karolinska Institute. I'm also a co-worker with Juan in the same project, the Curix project, which is under the same call as PANACEA project. So interested in this not only professionally as a co-worker of Karolinska, interested in the cybersecurity and educational questions, but also for the sake of the Curix project to increase collaboration between all the projects under the same call.
Yeah. Panos, and I add that you said this morning that you are a medical doctor also, no?
Yes, so I just take the research now. So I'm a researcher at the Karolinska Institute, but I'm also a doctor in family medicine in a privately owned healthcare center.
No, this is to make Anthony, who is the speaker, to be aware of the type of population that is listening now. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if Alexandra also would like to say a few words. She's new to the webinar series. Yeah, if she can unmute, and Stelios as well, just to give the healthcare background in PANACEA. Can just introduce themselves very briefly, and then we'll move on. I'm not sure you can, yeah, you should be able to unmute. Yeah, you should be able to speak now.
Hi.
Yeah.
You heard me?
If you could talk a little bit louder, that would be better. Thanks.
I have some problem with audio.
Oh, don't worry.
Just a minute.
So, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm Stelios Vakianakis from Fourth. I'm part of, we're part of the PANACEA Consortium. My personal background is on the clinical and informatics and health IT. And I have not so much background on the cybersecurity technologies and or security in general. So for us, it's quite interesting to be part of this project and to see how the methodologies and the technologies that the domain experts participating in the PANACEA project can be put in good use for securing hospitals and healthcare organizations.
Okay, thanks a lot to that. I'll pass the floor then now to you, Pasquale, and to Anthony. We can start on the presentation. If you'd just like to briefly introduce our guest speaker this afternoon.
Yes.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, welcome to everyone. I am the deputy project manager of the project, of the PANACEA project, and I work for Gemelli Hospital. And let me introduce Anthony. Anthony is a senior researcher in training. He works with RINA in training and education. He works with RINA. RINA Consulting is an engineering company, and that works on many aspects of the engineering and also the cybersecurity. And Anthony in particular has a strong experience in education and applied also in domains such as defense. I leave the floor to Anthony. Anthony is responsible for the education part in the project. Please, Anthony, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pasquale. I will just share my screen. And hopefully you can see the opening slide. This has been a very interesting project for me, coming from many years in the defense sector, and then moving across into adult education and training, and then lastly, internal security and counterinsurgency in the Middle East. But as you can imagine, when I first joined the British Army, cybersecurity did not exist. There was no worry really about anybody and anything getting access to anything if you could not physically see the protagonists or the actors. Increasingly over the last 30, 40 years, things have completely changed. And I think it's the historical nature of the healthcare organization domain that poses quite a number of issues which do not necessarily beset other industries or commercial enterprises. So I thought I would give you a summary, first of all, of how we have got to where we are today. We've adopted a very systematic approach, which is a little bit like adopting a project management approach to education and learning. It starts off with analysis, what is the need? And when I entered the project, we were talking about a training need. And however, when I then looked at the analysis of the workshops that have been conducted by our partner organisation, the University of Northumbria in Newcastle, it showed that everybody knows what behaviour and what actions they should take to secure their operations, and that everybody also knows how to do that, how to change their password, how to conceal their password, keep it secret, and how to transmit and transfer information securely. However, there are elements of organizational ethos and culture. In some cases, there are national regulations, and those create a very clear tension between the needs of such cybersecurity and the needs of the organization to go about its normal business. And in quite a few cases, there were absence of the drivers that you might expect to see to ensure that those processes and procedures that are in place are actually complied with. And by that I mean, there, on quite a few occasions, although there are disciplinary codes and disciplinary processes, in quite a number of cases, people were quite clear that they were not necessarily applied. So, on the basis of the 3 points there, a very quick summary, there was a clear need for education and not a need for training. We then moved on to the design phase, which then takes the analysis and encapsulates the aims of the whole project. That is what we as the educators want to achieve, and you can see it there, to stimulate large-scale behavioural change. The objectives are the things that we expect our learners then to gain at the end of whatever intervention we develop and present to them. And in this case, it's a lot of recognition in their minds, the links between cybersecurity, their patient, their hospital, and their behaviour. So what are the threats? How do those threats manifest themselves? And what is the link between patients' well-being and cybersecurity, poor cybersecurity? And what are the potential impacts on those three different elements? Then we had to consider how we were going to present this information. PANACEA is a pan-European project. There are many, many languages. Although the official languages are English and French, there are large parts of Europe where having an educational intervention in English or French only would present difficulties. And so with my technical design and developing specialists in RENA, we brainstormed and discussed with quite a number of colleagues and external specialists without RENA but in the UK, and decided that wherever possible we would minimize the use of words, whether spoken or written, and maximize therefore the impact of iconography and other images to make the narrative clear. We also decided, and COVID reinforced this, that it was not feasible to have a traditional face-to-face or train the trainer approach because of the distances, the implications really of trying to render one set of educational materials into many, many, many languages without inadvertently coming across some cultural obstacles as well as linguistic ones. Development, and this is the phase that we're in at the moment, is where we take the design and having identified we identify the content, we chunk it into, let's say, lessons, and we then sort of are trying to ensure that we reflect the 3 use cases that apply to the education and training stream in the product that we will deliver. And we are going to be focusing on the behaviours, which again came out of the analysis, which are listed there. All high risks and very common sense when you apply a little bit of thought to it, but nevertheless things which happen all the time. The last bullet, sub-bullet I should say, in the first section there, the risk of not challenging unauthorized persons, that emerged because it's easy to think of a hospital or any other healthcare organization as being a homogeneous unit, one organization with one employee set and so on. But the truth nowadays is that there are many, many temporary substitutions. There are a lot of outsourced contractors. There are lots of outsourced subcontractors. And of course you have the day by day replacements on a pro tem basis to replace people who are not able to work because of illness or other unexpected absences. And our final decision was that whilst we would have liked to be able to consider live actors in whatever videos we were going to produce, the restrictions of the pandemic, which continue to prevail today, prevented that, and therefore we have gone for an animated approach. This is an example of how we storyboard, and not myself nor my 5-year-old granddaughter, but some very highly talented people take ideas, draw images with some notes underneath, and this is where English had to come in to portray the progress of a story. It does not necessarily depict duration or prioritization or sequence, but the storyboards are individual sections of what the educational package will be. The first line, for example, shows the patient in a circle at the center to show the focus on him or her. The second image then shows floating around all of the services that healthcare organizations provide, then zooms in on one of the icons, which is a nurse, showing on the data board the information that's collected initially from a patient, that's fed then into the IT system, going back into the fortress of the servers, which are secured, in this case, of course, by PANACEA. If I move on to the next slide, you should be able to see a pilot rendering of that.
We don't hear anything.
Can you see that?
See, yes, we can see, but
okay.
if there is a music, we cannot hear it.
How do I do that? Can you hear it now?
Now, yes.
Now, yes.
Okay, well, I will do that again then, because I think
yes,
it
exactly.
does give a bigger impact with the music.
Yes.
So that is the pilot introductory clip, which has met with very positive reactions so far. And we are now sort of considering, in terms of forward activity, the evaluation phase of the systematic approach. Now, the systematic approach means that evaluation is an integral component of the whole process, and it is continuous to ensure that the solution at all stages remains focused on the outputs and the requirement, and does not have the opportunity of drifting off track. So far we've agreed and confirmed at the analysis stage. We shared and agreed decisions at the design stage, and we are currently sharing with members of the 3 participating healthcare organizations some of the video clips to get their reaction in terms of the clarity of the narrative and the, let's say, realism of the scenarios that we are creating. We are applying the Kirkpatrick model, which is globally well known and well acknowledged in training and educational worlds, as being a very comprehensive approach to evaluation and ensuring that the customer, or the end user, eventually does get what it is they were expecting. A little more detail on the model, which has 4 levels, but ironically, we always start with level 4, because this is quite often the most difficult for educators and trainers to get hold of, and that is the admission from the commissioning client or the end users as to why it is they need a training or an education intervention. Quite often the commissioning organization does not wish to share fully, at least, the reasons why they want some training or additional training over and above that which they already have. But part of this is to identify what drivers are needed. What does the organization have to have in place in order to make the outcomes of the training or education impactful? And at the same time, this is a large change program, a behavioral change program, and it's not going to happen overnight. And so therefore, normally you agree, what are the signs, what are the early, let's say, plants or shoots that are coming out of the ground to show that yes, things are starting to change and things are going in the right direction. Then everybody will recognize the happy sheets, the reaction of learners to the learning, which you get on delivery or immediately after, to try and make sure that everybody understands the level of engagement stimulation. And then the achievement in a lot of cases, but not in the case of this, because it's an educational and voluntary sort of program, you would measure by some sort of a test or quiz the percentage and level of achievement of the learners on the program. And this one is going to be very interesting for PANACEA, is at level 3. This is talking to line managers and senior managers about whether or not they have been able to see or feel or touch changes in behavior which are having positive effect on their organization. So the plan so far is that we will not be testing people. There is no point really in this sort of a program to even momentarily take up time which the learners can ill afford from their day job in quizzing them as to whether they can remember what it is they've just experienced. So we will not be formally assessing their learning, but we will be engaging with the healthcare organizations to make sure that we capture their expectations. And more importantly, I think that we will get them to agree what actions are on them to try and maximize the impact of the educational intervention. We are currently, we've shared a couple of pilot video clips to stakeholders and other members of my organization, and I've exhorted people to share them with friends and family, because we would just like to know from as wide a range as possible, really, people's reaction to the clips that we've done so far. And we want to find out whether they find them engaging, whether the message is clear, and whether they perceive them to be relevant. That will allow us then to modify and adjust the clips and the thrust of the rest of the package so that it is on track from then on. This is a second pilot clip, one of the use cases about, well, I won't say anything, and let's hope that you can see what it's meant to be conveying. So the final step, or not the final step, but the next step then is to actually enact a plan, which is one of our next deliverables, where we will provide the end users with a self-assessment tool so they can check the presence of the required drivers and identify their own relevant leading indicators. We will provide them with a survey for the level 1 learner reaction, and also then the survey that they could use to establish the impact on their organization through investigating with managers. And that is a summary of where we are at the moment. I'll hand you back to Stephanie.
Thanks very much, Anthony. That's very interesting. We were joined earlier on by Tomedy. Tomedy, we've given an introduction of all of the presenters and participants. I don't know if you want to say a few words about yourself, your organisation, and your interest in PANACEA. My colleagues can give you the right to unmute if you want to do that, so that we just know who's online with us this afternoon. We'll try it, and then if you want to speak, you're free to speak for just a quick introduction.
Hi, Tomedy. I unlocked your microphone, so if you want, feel free to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I was muted. We couldn't hear that very well. There was some interference, but yeah, I think he has a connection problem. Okay, let's move on then with the discussions. Are there any questions or comments from anybody on what we've just been watching?
It looked quite good to me. I liked it. I think the language, taking out the wording, is a very good idea.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Thank you, Juan. It's we don't underestimate the difficulties of covering all aspects in this way, but actually, I think our graphics designers are coming up with some very interesting, if obvious, ways of showing emotion. I thought the glare of the worker,
the eyes, right?
And the greed, yes, exactly. So we're looking at alternative ways of communicating.
Yeah.
As well as some, the what was it, the skull and crossbones on the cyber criminals screens, etc. So
very good, very good.
Hopefully.
Anthony, there is a suggestion from Wissam. If you read on the Q&A panel, I think it is interesting, because Wissam says we can use the music, to explaining what is happening. I mean, because the music at the moment is always the same, no? It has not specific meaning apart from giving some rhythm, let's say. But if you use the music as is in a movie, where the type of music is highlighting a specific situation, so horror or whatever it is, maybe it could be added to the language, let's say.
I always have images of the Keystone Cops and Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, but of course all of the in those early cinema days, the pianists were the ones that chose what music to play depending on what they were seeing on the screen. So yes, that is a good point, Wissam, and I'll take that, and we will see what we can do.
So thanks, Wissam, for the suggestion.
Yeah, that's a really nice idea, actually. I love Buster Keaton. I think it was great studying him at university. And really expressive, yeah, really funny. Okay, so any other comments? Those are really nice ones. No? Okay, maybe we can move on then to the polls that we can then perhaps discuss depending on the outcomes. So I'll pass the floor back to my colleagues, Christina and Rita, to launch the polls. These polls will be asking you, well, this first one about fine tuning. I guess we've had some feedback on that one already. And then we'll ask you some sort of general, how you would rate the solution generally, and then in terms of what's already available on the market based on what you're familiar with already. So here we go with the first poll. So do we need to fine tune? Are there any further suggestions? I would say, I think those were good ones about the music. Yeah.
And actually all the attendees already replied, and actually the 67% said that they don't have any suggestion. So that's really good. And then only the 33% said that, yeah, they would like to add some suggestions. I suppose that it is linked to the music or to any other of them.
It was also me. Maybe some of the suggestions are maybe related to the kind of course content or syllabus that you would like to propose in this educational material, because you identified several threats related, I guess, to some phishing or some usage of USB keys, etc., etc. Or so I think that a good list of threats that that may happen in a hospital should be provided, and with each case, maybe you should provide a kind of course, but maybe also a kind of gaming materials, a gaming course that will help people to understand better why there is this threat, what is the impact of these threats, etc. So I don't know if you have this gaming part in your training material, and if yes, are they linked to all the threats that you already identified? Also, something that was not very clear for me at the beginning is what was the target of the education. Are they people that are non-ICT with no non-ICT background, like I guess doctors, nurses, etc., or you also want to target the hospital people that are administrating the hospital infrastructure and network, and in this case maybe something which is deeper is needed there.
Our target audience analysis was that everybody from the chief executive or the director, the senior clinicians, right the way down, and I don't mean this negatively, but all the way down, if you like, to the cleaners of the floors and the surgical areas, the maintainers of the electrical circuits and the heating.
So in general, these are people with no ICT background, in general. Correct. Of course. So you don't target at all any people that are really administrating the hospital network or infrastructure, IT. These are not in your target group.
They will be, but for them, I would anticipate that it would be a reminder, because they will be working with their cybersecurity experts and within their security protocols already, and therefore what you cannot do, of course, is rule out any deliberate acts.
Maybe this kind of people can be your representative in the hospital. So that means that they can later on, when they will understand all the different training that you would like to provide, they can be the security defenders that will continue providing this kind of training and education to other kind of non-ICT people to maintain the sustainability of your solution, maybe. I don't know if it's something that can be of interest for your...
Yeah. I think also then the requirement, as we have interpreted it, is a universal solution for as many healthcare organizations who wish to adopt PANACEA. And therefore, I think if we were to go into a gaming solution, which is a possibility, the first thing is time. The results of the analysis and the workshops were very clear that people do not have time for long courses, for long sessions, and therefore we are looking for a short, sharp shock to make very, very clear the link between everybody's individual behavior and the cybersecurity and safety, not just of the hospital, but of themselves, and also, and this is the most important point, their patients. Because quite often, and I will quote, although not in the actual words that they used, that many people said, we do not have time for cybersecurity because we have to prioritize patient care. And obviously what we are trying to do is say, if you wish to care for your patient, you must make time for cybersecurity.
Maybe an idea that can be of interest, and is something that we are also working here in Montimage on it, is the fact that we would like to build a mobile application that will ask from time to time to end users some questions, some easy question related. For example, if you receive this kind of mail, would you click on the link, yes or no? Or imagine this situation: you find a USB key. Will you insert it directly in your PC? Yes or no? Of course, we can have more complex questions, but this kind of application can send frequently. We need to define the period each day or each week, some set of easy questions, and people can answer to them and have a score, and then they can work to have the better score between all the hospital team or something like that. And this can be at the same time funny, but also that it can also raise awareness about some cybersecurity issues.
Yes, I do not disagree. And the things you are, to my mind, the things you are talking about there would fit very well in our nudging component, which reinforces learning and reminds people. And some of the potential solutions, for example, that our colleagues from the university are proposing is a sticker of a shark with teeth, which goes around the outside of the USB port, for example, and so on and so forth. But so I think it is an integrated approach. I'm working very closely with the researchers up in the university to ensure that the types of behaviors that we're addressing, and whilst we are going to be showing them what phishing could look like, we also, and a Trojan horse and ransomware and so on, and those will be stories in our product. We want to make sure that the behaviors that lead to those vulnerabilities are the ones that we also target. So it's all very well knowing, oh, that was a phishing email, but most people will only know that it was if they click on it and something bad happens.
Yeah.
So I agree that something that the HCOs must do, and part of the drivers that I was referring to at the level 4 of the Kirkpatrick evaluation approach, is that they should be sending out let's say trick emails occasionally, which are safe and managed, but actually did you not notice that hospital in English in this particular case was spelt with a double L, and therefore did not come from your colleague as you thought down the corridor, but from somebody somewhere else, and so on. So it has to be an integrated approach, and it's not all about learning. It's the educational piece of this is to raise their awareness, make them recognize the link between poor cybersecurity behavior and potentially patient ruin. It would be a great shame if a lot of effort and time and money was spent in a hospital to cure somebody, only to find out when that person returned to their home that all of their identity, their banking resources, everything had been stripped away because somebody was casual in handling that person's data. But thank you for that.
Thank you a lot for this clarification. Yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you also for your suggestions.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, there is actually a lawsuit, an action lawsuit in the US by a group of patients. I can't remember the name of the hospital, but it suffered some kind of cyber attack with a data breach, and one patient actually did. She ended up with an overdraft on her bank account, and because other patients had also been affected, they decided to carry out this lawsuit. So these are really these are real cases, in fact, and we sometimes don't stop to think just how extensive the implications can be. Yeah, so that's a nice point there from you, Anthony. We do have some other polls. It's 16:20. I don't know if we want to carry on with the polls or carry on with the discussion. We can move forward with the other polls. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sharing now the number 4. So on this one, we would like to know, based on the role or field of your expertise, how would you rate the tool in terms of its usability? And here again, you have 3 replies. So if it is not very easy to use, if it is quite easy, or very easy to use. And we already got all the replies, and 2 of them said that it is very easy to use, and only 1 reply said that it is quite easy to use. I'm also sharing all the results with all of you, so you can see them. Okay. If there are no other no comments on this one, I will move to the next question if it is fine for all of you. Okay, so number 5, here again, it is always based on the role or field of expertise. How do you rate the tool in terms of its usefulness? And here, I suppose now you can see the polling. And here there are 3 different replies, so if it doesn't help very much, if it may solve some issues, or if it is very useful. We still have some time to. Okay, for the reply is good. So all people replied, and here again we have that 67% said that it is very useful, and only 33% that it may solve some issues. So here actually we are always getting the same percentages in all the replies. And here you can also see the results now. Okay, so I will move to the next question. And it is, let's say, always linked to your role expertise. How well does the tool fit with the specific environment of hospital? So for example, considering the time pressure, primary purpose of the organization. And here there are 3 replies again. So if it copes with a few HC specificities, with many, or if it captures all. Okay, thank you for replying. And here we have only 33% that says that it captures fully all the specificities, and 67% that instead is saying that it copes with many of them. You can also see them now on the results. Yeah, John, do you want to say something? Okay.
Yeah. I answered fully captures because, of course, with this, if it's adapted to every circumstance, I think it could fully capture most of at least almost all of the different aspects in the hospital. So that's why I wanted to say I voted that.
Okay, clear.
Because I don't know, maybe some people voted that it captures many, but I think this tool is very powerful and it could end up capturing a lot of different aspects, or almost all of them.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if someone of the panelists would like to add something.
Yeah, this is me. I put that it copes with many hospital specificities, but I think that, and I guess that the process in different hospitals are not the same, and even what they are doing every day is not the same. And finally, the tool is very, very interesting. It deals with a lot of let's say topics and different threads, but we cannot be sure that we will be able to manage all the situations and all the cases. That's why I put the answer in the middle.
Yeah.
Could I just respond? I have the right to defend myself. No.
We'll have a debate on that now.
I think so. Well, we can have a discussion, but
yeah, sure.
We were looking, there are some specific use cases which have been provided by the participating healthcare organizations. But to my mind, for this strand of the research and of the project, being too specific would be counterproductive, precisely because of what you were saying, Wissam, that, oh, that's not how we do it in our hospital, so therefore this does not apply to me. Hence, without prejudice to the fact that there are very recognizable and specific issues in certain and probably every hospital throughout Europe, what we're trying to capture are the prevalent misbehaviors, the prevalent crimes, if you like, in cybersecurity terms, which are very often due to time pressure, momentary inattention, and emergency reactions to what is presented at a particular time. At the other end of that spectrum, if you like, there are lax practices which creep in because people become casual. And, you know, with leaving a USB stick unsecured on a desk is a matter of poor practice, not because people don't know that they shouldn't do that, but they forgot or they're not disciplined, and there's nobody making sure that they are disciplined enough to protect them and put them away if they are going to be used. That's why one of the bullet points is the link, the very, very strong and concrete link between physical security and cybersecurity. Because a lot of, well, we all know that people who don a white coat and drape a stethoscope in the right way can gain access if they walk with confidence and apparent knowledge and so on and so forth, because people do not always challenge access. If somebody looks as if they fit, they must fit. And so there's a very close link that we're seeking in this product also to make between the casual person who takes an opportunity while they're repairing a light bulb just to pick something up because it looks intriguing, or it looks as if it could give them some money or something. And there are a lot of these, I'm almost going to say, accidental crimes which happen purely because they were presented with the chance they couldn't resist. On the other hand, there are cases of receptionists who access data of personalities who are not even in their department. And they have been found because the press then were found out that a celebrity was undergoing some sort of treatment. It appeared in a local newspaper or radio station or something like that. And when investigated, the individual receptionist was fined, I think it was something like £17,500. So in excess of 20,000 euros, because that person went looking for information they had no need to access in the course of their job. So we're trying not to be specific, but to actually cover the fact that we know that when people go away for 3 weeks holiday, they probably make a note of their very complex password and put it in a place they'll remember when they get back. But if it's just stuck on a post-it underneath the keyboard, then that's the first place anybody might look. In other departments, to make it easy for everybody, they stick it on a poster on the wall, and then there's a photograph which somebody posts on Facebook and it shows the password. All of these things have happened, and we're trying to, if you like, just capture as many of those types of things as opposed to the specific medical procedures and activities that are going on around them.
Anthony, I lifted up my hand. Yes, I totally agree with you. We have to remember that doctors, their first job is curing people. Mm-hmm. And we have to introduce this information to them as simple and quick as possible. And as you said, talking about posters, after you do a campaign or I don't know how you will display this, if it will be through the HIS tools or the medical tools or when they log in or whatever. After launching all these teachings, well, you just said a poster. Put posters which summarize the story in the hospital around for them to remember.
Yeah. Well, this is, it's a nice word, nudging.
Nudging, that's another nudge. Okay.
Yeah. And okay. But the poster I think the University of Northumbria are proposing some posters, some stickers. The IT people can sort of do things when people log on. Yeah. So they're looking at a wide range of potential opportunities there.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you.
Yes, but no, I think, Anthony, I think that this is an interesting connection with the nudging that, because yes, it is true that in the nudging we consider to do the posters but the content of the poster could be linked to these videos. I mean,
yes, that's what I mean.
You know, this is an interesting thing because once the people have, let's say, seen the video, and then they go around and they see the same vignette, the same,
exactly,
the same story, the same,
reinforcement.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The reinforcement, exactly. So thanks. One, I think this is a good suggestion. We are ready to apply it. We will transfer this also to our nudging team.
Okay, great.
They are studying these aspects.
Okay. So if it's okay for everyone, I will go. I will share with you.
Well, actually, we've run out of time, Rita. So I don't know if we can perhaps send the participants the polls to complete offline.
Sure.
if that's okay with our participants. I mean, we can carry on for a little while. I have a meeting on a budget, so I can't stay on personally for much longer, unfortunately, as captivating as the webinar has been. But I don't know if you want to...
We can ask Stephanie if Rita or Christina can stay, and if Juan, Panos, and Wissam may give us other 10 minutes, maybe we can conclude also with the remaining questions.
Okay.
I ask Juan, Panos, and Wissam if you can dedicate 10 minutes more of your time now.
Yeah, for me it's okay if it is 10 minutes. Yeah,
no problem.
Okay, so we close here. Thank you very much. So Stephanie, we go on. You go to your budget.
Very much. Okay, bye. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Bye, Stephanie. So,
bye, Stephanie. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Actually, guys, we have only the last 3 questions, so it is not too much still to discuss. I'm sharing the question, and it says that based on your knowledge or similar solutions, how would you rate the tool in terms of its innovativeness? And the replies are behind others, like others, somewhat innovative, and very innovative. Okay, we got all the replies, and 67% is saying that it is very innovative, and 33% that it is somewhat innovative. And I'm also sharing with all of you the results. If you have any comments, of course, you can unmute yourself and discuss with the others. If instead you don't have any comments, I will go through the other question.
Rita, what we can do is to go until the end, and then
Okay, fine. Yeah. So I will share with you the other question. It is actually the second one, and then we will have the last one. So here we will see that based on your knowledge of similar solutions, how would you rate the tool in terms of its usability? And here you can choose between less complete, like others, a bit more complete, or absolutely more complete. Okay, we still have some seconds, okay, to get all the replies good. And here we have 33% in which it is absolutely more complete, and 67% instead of it is a bit more complete. So you can also see the results now. And I will go through the last question. So here instead, we would like to know how you rate the tool in terms of its usefulness. And here we have some replies like it is less useful, same specificity, a bit more specific, or if it is absolutely more useful. And here again, you have some other time to complete. Okay, good. So we got all the replies, and it says that actually the majority of people says that it is absolutely more useful, and just a person said it is a bit more specific.
Yeah, obviously, where you see specific, it was useful. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we'll stop sharing the results. And we do not have any other tools.
Okay, good. So if Juan, Panos, and Wissam, if you have some more feedback that you like to provide us, here we are.
Not specifically. I think that what you did is really interesting. You need maybe to highlight the different innovations that you have there, because what you are doing is really something of interest, targeting non-ICT people. So this is something very, very useful. I think that today there is a lot of people working on cybersecurity training, but a lot of things are really very, let's say, technical and very complex, and what you are proposing is of interest for hospitals, and I think that it can be even used for other kind of institutions and some SMEs in different fields. So congratulations for this work.
Thanks, Ethan. On behalf of Anthony.
Thank you, Wissam.
Yeah, I think exactly the same. So
okay.
Congratulations, guys.
Thanks, Juan.
I'm still here, by the way. I can't actually leave you, so I've sent a message.
But you have been also this morning, you know, in the
yes, exactly. Yes, and that was also really interesting on the nudging. Yeah, we got some.
Yes, I suppose that PANACEA, you may appreciate the, let's say, that the integrated use of this tool with the one that we explained this morning, I suppose could be a good thing, no? The integrated use of.
Yes, I mean, I mentioned in the previous workshop for lunch about our shortcomings.
Can't you?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, now
sorry,
yes.
Sorry. So this morning we had this talk about the nudging tool, and I explained, I gave an example of our shortcomings in the healthcare center. So I think the combination could be very valuable, even starting very low, very basic for the non-ICT stuff.
Yes, exactly. No, because the problem of the hospital that, for instance, at Gemelli, we have 4,000 people, no? So the mass is there. And all of them using every day a computer, even if they are operational people. I mean, the nurses must input data and so on. So there is really the need to have something quick and dirty that can be effective. So this is why we are trying to use these type of solutions.
Sorry, I'm Khan. I missed the nudging conference. It's recorded, right?
But
it is recorded. Yes.
Okay. And one other question. Well, I suppose this will all go out on deliverables. Will they be public or?
So some deliverables are public, and once they are approved by the reviewer, publish them. Currently, we have somewhat, let's say, 8 deliverables that are public and have been published. So if you go on the website,
we can see them.
There is, yes, and you look in results, and the results you find deliverables, and then you see what you find there. Yes.
Okay, this topic is very interesting for us because in the hospital as well.
However, you can contact us for any.
Great. Okay,
any
thank you.
Information exchange or to know more, etc. So,
yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, Stephanie, if you want to close.
Yep. I think some of you have heard this before. Wait, did that do it? So just let me close this a second. So just a reminder, so this was the last in a series of virtual virtual sessions for the workshop. Just to let you know, obviously, that you can also, join our community either on LinkedIn or Twitter. I mentioned also several times the Lookout Watch, where you can share your own research or any other guides that you think are useful. And just to let you know that we will be back in public on Monday afternoon, as Sabina will be presenting at the Connect University Autumn School, which is all dedicated this year to digital health, and she'll be on this in the session on cybersecurity, a priority for healthcare delivery, and she'll be sharing our experiences, including those from the front line during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we do, though, look forward to keeping engaging with you in the future. So let's stay in touch. And if you do, as Pasquale just said, if you want to get in contact with us, just send us an email. You've received all of our emails, myself, Christina, Rita, Sabina, obviously, as well, and Pasquale. So you know, these are, you can send us an email about anything directly. Okay, so thanks a lot again on my side as well. It's been a really interesting and fruitful discussion. Stay safe, and we hope to be in touch with you again in the near future. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. Take care.
Take care. Yeah, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.